America's wilderness. Its tangled swamps, primordial forests, jagged mountains, and desolate canyons is a realm of paradox. It offers solace to those who seek to escape the clamor of civilization, yet it harbors secrets that can unravel the mind. For the off-grid wanderers, the recluses, and the adventurers who venture too far, the wild is both sanctuary and crucible. These are not mere ghost stories spun to thrill. They are visceral accounts of encounters with entities that defy reason, etched in the scars of survivors and the silence of the missing. The Forbidden Excavation is a documentary-style odyssey into these shadowed places, channeling the creeping dread of John Langan's prose, where every detail is a thread in a tapestry of terror. From the fetid depths of South Carolina's Congaree Swamp to the frozen vastness of Alaska's Tongass National Forest, we unearth tales that converge on a chilling truth. Something ancient, cunning, and ravenous stalks the wild. This exploration is multidimensional, weaving first-hand testimonies with historical context, scientific inquiry, cultural lore, and the psychological aftermath of facing the unknown. Each section immerses you in a specific encounter, enriched with sensory details. The sour reek of decay, the weight of unnatural silence, the glint of claws in moonlight. We delve into the survivors' minds, the ecosystems they invaded, and the myths that frame these horrors. What would you do if you stumbled upon a nest of bones, arranged with grotesque precision? Could you outrun the thing that moves without sound, its eyes burning with predatory intent? Step into the wild, where the air thickens and every rustle is a warning. In 2011, Eldon Winstead, a 38-year-old former software engineer, abandoned the sterile glow of cubicles for the primal embrace of South Carolina's Congaree National Park. The swamp, a 26,000-acre labyrinth of cypress knees, blackwater channels, and Spanish moss, was a world unto itself. Eldon's cabin, a 12 by 12 structure perched on stilts, was a fortress of simplicity. Solar panels for power, a rainwater cistern, a wood stove for warmth. His days were a ritual of survival, checking rabbit traps, splitting logs, tending a small garden of kale and potatoes. He kept a journal, noting the swamp's moods, the chatter of barred owls, the flicker of fireflies, the slow pulse of water. But in late October, when summer's heat lingered like a fever, a sour, meaty stench invaded his solitude. It was sharp, acrid, coating his tongue like oil, unlike any natural decay he'd smelled. For 3 days, Eldon tried to dismiss it, blaming a drowned animal or a bloated fish. But the smell intensified, stinging his eyes and waking him at night. On the 4th day, driven by unease, he set out with a machete, a flashlight, and a .45 pistol strapped to his chest. The swamp was a green cathedral, its canopy filtering sunlight into a murky haze. Vines snagged his boots, and the ground sucked at his soles, each step a battle. Half a mile in, he found the source. A human body, male, sprawled in a clearing. The torso was shredded, ribs splayed like petals, the face frozen in a rictus of terror. Blood pooled in the mud, yet the scene was eerily pristine. No flies, no vultures, no ants. The air was still, heavy with the stench, and Eldon's pulse hammered in his ears. He noticed massive footprints, clawed and deep, each the size of a dinner plate, leading toward the hollow, a shunned part of the swamp where locals claimed compasses failed and the air grew cold. Curiosity, a dangerous spark in the wild, overrode his fear. Eldon followed the tracks, the swamp closing in like a living thing. The canopy thickened, blocking the sun, and the stench grew so thick it burned his throat. In a clearing, he found a nightmare. A dome of woven sticks, mud, and vines, 5 feet tall and 10 feet wide, surrounded by bones. Deer, hogs, birds, and some disturbingly human, polished as if scoured clean. The nest was no random pile but a structure, its weave deliberate, its presence a violation of nature. Eldon's breath caught, his mind racing. Bear, alligator, hoax, but nothing fit. A wet, sloshing sound broke the silence, like something heavy moving through water. He turned, and there it was. A creature 7 feet tall, hunched, its mottled gray skin glistening like wet clay. Its beak-like snout twitched, and its eyes, yellow, slitted, alive with intelligence, pinned him in place. For a heartbeat, they stared, predator and prey, the swamp holding its breath. Then it lunged, claws slashing the air. Eldon swung his machete, slicing its arm. Black blood sprayed, and the creature screeched, a sound that vibrated in his bones, half roar, half scream. He ran, branches tearing his skin, the creature's claws scraping his cabin's stilts as he dove inside. It battered the walls, splintering oak, its weight shaking the floor. Eldon fired his pistol through a window, the shots deafening, but the creature only roared. Desperate, he grabbed a flare gun and fired point blank, the burst of light searing its face. It shrieked, tearing through a reinforced window grate before vanishing into the night. Eldon barricaded himself until dawn, his hands trembling, the screech echoing in his skull. He fled to a ranger station, his story met with raised eyebrows. Rangers found the body and clearing but no creature, attributing the attack to a bear despite the claw tracks, the nest, and the absence of typical scavenger activity. A week later, a hiker vanished, leaving a torn backpack with claw marks. Months later, a hunter stumbled on a similar nest, this one holding a child's doll, its fabric crusted with dried blood. Eldon never returned, relocating to a city where the hum of traffic drowned out his nightmares. But the congeries' secrets festered, whispered in local diners and hunting camps. The encounter raises chilling questions. Was this a cryptid, like the skunk ape of southern lore? The nest's complexity suggests intelligence, the lack of scavengers a territorial claim. Historical records hint at Cold War experiments in the region, chemical tests, biological research, conducted in secret bases now reclaimed by the swamp. Could the creature be a byproduct, a mutation unleashed and forgotten? Eldon's trauma, nightmares of yellow eyes, a phobia of enclosed spaces, mirrors combat veterans, his journal entries growing erratic, filled with sketches of the creature's beak. The hollow remains off-limits, its silence a warning. In 2002, Lars Ferlin, a 45-year-old mechanic broken by a bitter divorce and a dead-end job, sought rebirth in Alaska's Tongass National Forest. Spanning 17 million acres, Tongass is a prehistoric wilderness of ancient cedars, fog-choked fjords, and rivers thick with salmon. Lars's cabin, built from salvaged logs and driftwood, was a testament to his resolve. No electricity, a wood stove for heat, a shelf of dog-eared books for company. His life was ascetic. Mornings checking traps for martens and foxes, afternoons mending nets, evenings reading Thoreau by candlelight. But one September evening, a low, rhythmic hum disrupted the forest's symphony of wind and wolves. It wasn't mechanical but organic, pulsing deep in his chest, like a heartbeat from the earth. It stopped as suddenly as it began, leaving Lars uneasy, the forest too quiet. The next morning, a steel bear trap, 50 pounds, anchored with a steel stake, was gone. Following the trail, Lars found it half a mile away, its jaws twisted into a useless spiral, the stake snapped clean. Nearby, coarse, bristly fur clung to a fern, reeking of musk, unlike any bear or wolf. The forest fell silent, birds and squirrels vanished, and a thick, oily stench of rot filled the air. Lars's skin prickled, his breath shallow. Then he saw it. A mound of bodies, deer, elk, foxes, even a bald eagle, stacked with geometric precision, their flesh stripped, organs gone, bones gleaming. The arrangement was deliberate, a grotesque altar, the ground beneath stained black. Before he could process it, heavy branches snapped behind him, rhythmic, like footsteps. The hum returned, louder, vibrating his ribs. Lars ran, the dragging sound wet, deliberate, chasing him through the trees. Barricaded in his cabin, Lars endured a night of dread. The hum pulsed outside, joined by scratches along the walls, slow and deliberate, as if testing the wood. At dawn, he trekked to a village library, poring over Tlingit legends. He found tales of the Kushtaka, a shape-shifting predator that mimicked voices to lure victims, collecting bones as trophies. A reclusive trapper, Ed Kig, examined the fur Lars had salvaged, his face paling. "Not natural," Ed whispered, hinting at a dam experiment gone wrong. Tied to a shuttered military outpost from the 1960s, its records sealed. That night, the creature attacked. A towering figure 8 feet tall, cloaked in matted fur, its wolf-like snout bearing jagged teeth. Its eyes glowed amber, and its breath reeked of decay. Lars fired his rifle, hitting its shoulder. Black blood sprayed, and it fled, leaving a trail of gore and a human femur, gnawed and fresh, outside his door. Lars abandoned Tongass the next day, his cabin left to rot. Rangers found the mound but no creature, blaming a rogue bear despite the fur, the twisted trap, and the bone pile's precision. The Kushtaka legend speaks of a hunter that toys with its prey, its trophies a claim of dominance. Could it be a surviving megafauna, a dire wolf's descendant? Or, as Ed suggested, a relic of human hubris engineered and unleashed? Lars's PTSD, triggered by low sounds, like a car's bass, keeps him tethered to cities, his trust in nature shattered. The fur, analyzed by a biologist, defied classification, its DNA degraded but anomalous. Tongass remains a wilderness of secrets, its fog hiding what hunts within. In 1997, Ira Peaster, a 52-year-old caretaker, tended a derelict fishing lodge in Alaska's Glacier Bay, a 3.3 million acre expanse of glaciers, fjords, and spruce forests. The lodge, a sagging relic of planks and rusted nails, was Ira's refuge from a life of dead-end jobs. Warehouses, diners, construction. He embraced the bay's raw beauty, humpback whales breaching, the midnight sun painting the sky gold. But he respected its silence, a stillness that could swallow sound, making every creak of the lodge feel like an intrusion. One June morning, a flock of crows, their caws sharp and urgent, led him to a rocky beach. There he found a body. A man mid-30s, his torso mangled, ribs splayed, his face a gaping hole as if erased. Blood glistened, the wounds fresh, yet no scavengers. Gulls, crabs, ravens touched the scene. A musky, sour odor hung in the air, and Ira's stomach churned. He radioed the rangers, but by nightfall, the body was gone, leaving trampled grass and claw marks in the sand. Weeks later, a hiker, Evelyn Hardwick, staggered to the lodge, her eyes wild. Her brother, Tom, had vanished while camping near Bartlett Cove. Ira trekked to the site, finding a shredded tent, blood-soaked ground, and a trail of clawed prints, bipedal, each toe ending in a curved talon. The trail led to a spruce grove, where Tom hung impaled on a branch, his chest torn open, intestines spilling like ropes. Beneath the tree, a lean, canine-like creature fed, its patchy fur revealing mottled, grayish skin. Its head snapped up, eyes glowing like embers, and Ira fired his shotgun, the blast scattering it into the forest. Its howl, low, guttural, echoed as he and Evelyn fled, the ground shaking with its pursuit. They reached the lodge, barricading themselves until dawn. Rangers found no body, no creature, dismissing it as a bear despite the prints and the precision of Tom's wounds. Weeks later, the creature returned, circling the lodge in moonlight. Its claws glinted, and its silhouette, tall, lean, wrong, burned into Ira's memory. He left Glacier Bay, the lodge abandoned to rot. The incident is steeped in mystery. The creature's anatomy, canine yet bipedal with a skeletal frame, defies known predators. The absence of scavengers and vanishing bodies suggest a predator that controls its territory with ruthless efficiency. Tlingit stories speak of a silent hunter, a spirit that punishes trespassers, but Ira's encounter was flesh and blood, grounded in claw and gore. Whispers of Cold War experiments, biological tests in Alaska's remote bays, add a modern layer hinting at engineered horrors. Evelyn's trauma. She avoids forests, flinches at shadows, mirrors Ira's, their lives fractured by a glimpse of the abyss. The bay's silence, once a comfort, now feels like a trap. In 1987, Nolan Crittenden, a 29-year-old former accountant, fled the grind of urban life for a decaying hunting lodge in Tennessee's Great Smoky Mountains. The Smokies, with their mist-shrouded peaks and oak hickory forests, were a balm for his burned-out soul. Nolan's days were simple: foraging for ramps and mushrooms, patching the lodge's roof, sketching the ridges in charcoal. But one April morning, the forest's chorus, warblers, squirrels, wind, fell silent, as if the air itself held its breath. Investigating, Nolan found a deer splayed across a creek's rocks, its skin stripped in ragged patches, bones exposed, eyes gone. 2 days later, a raccoon appeared in the same state, then a rabbit, each killed deliberate, the bodies arranged like points on a map, their wounds too clean for scavengers. That night, Nolan woke to find his cabin door ajar, claw marks etched into the floorboards, deep and jagged. He secured the lodge with a padlock, but the silence returned, heavier, oppressive. At dusk, a rhythmic thumping echoed outside, like a heartbeat in the earth. Scratches traced the walls, circling the cabin, slow and deliberate. Armed with a 12-gauge shotgun, Nolan stepped into the twilight, his flashlight catching a leathery, hairless creature, 6 feet tall, with a crocodile-like jaw and eyes like oil slicks. Its skin glistened, and its claws, long, curved, bone-white, clicked as it moved. It charged, and Nolan fired, the blast tearing its shoulder. It screeched, slashing his arm, the welts burning like acid. Nolan fired again, driving it into the trees. At dawn, he found its body, dragged it to a clearing, and burned it, the stench of charred flesh choking the air. Locals spoke of mountain devils, creatures older than the Cherokee, tied to cursed valleys. Nolan left his sketches of the creature, its jaw, its claws, hauntingly detailed, as if carved into his mind. The Smokies incident is rich with folklore, tales of shapeshifters, of spirits that guard sacred ground. The creature's anatomy suggests a predator built for stealth, its kills a territorial marker. The thumping, a recurring motif, could be communication, a lure, or a biological sonar. Nolan's scars, physical and mental, speak to the cost of survival. His arms welts a permanent brand. Historical records note similar incidents. A 1920s hunter's journal describing a leather beast, a 1950s hiker's disappearance with claw marks on his pack. The valley remains, its silence a challenge to the curious. In 2015, Keith McAllister, a 33-year-old fugitive from a life of bad debts and worse choices, hid in Montana's Bitterroot National Forest. His cabin, a ramshackle lean-to of plywood and tarp, was his last stand. When his friend Cal, a freelance photographer, visited for a week, they hiked into uncharted territory, chasing untouched vistas for Cal's portfolio. Deep in the forest, they found oversized tracks, clawed, bipedal, each print sinking deep into the soil. Nearby, a clearing held a grotesque display. Animal remains, elk, coyotes, marmots, bones polished, organs missing, centered by a disemboweled mule deer, its ribs splayed like wings. The air reeked of rot, and the forest was silent, as if holding its breath. As Cal snapped photos, a 7-foot creature burst from the trees, part canine, part humanoid, its maw brimming with jagged teeth. Its fur was patchy, revealing scarred, gray skin, and its eyes burned with hunger. It slashed Cal's chest, blood spraying, and Heath fired his rifle, hitting its flank. He swung his machete, slicing its arm, black blood oozing. The creature howled, retreating, but its gaze promised return. Heath dragged Cal back to the cabin, the creature's howls trailing them, low and guttural. At night, it circled, leaving fresh tracks, its claws scraping the walls. Cal left for a hospital, his wounds severe, but Heath stayed, rifle in hand, knowing the creature wasn't finished. The Bitterroot encounter is raw, visceral. The creature's hybrid form, canine agility, humanoid cunning, suggests a predator evolved for ambush. The clearing's arrangement mirrors other accounts, a trophy or ritual, its precision unnatural. Keith's defiance masks guilt over Cal's injuries, his life already broken by past mistakes. Cal's photos, later analyzed, show details, claw curvature, fur texture, that defy known species, fueling speculation of a relic carnivore, perhaps a bear-dog descendant, or something engineered. The Bitterroot's history includes 1970s military tests, chemical drops, rumored genetics labs, adding a layer of intrigue. Keith's cabin, now abandoned, is a pilgrimage site for cryptid hunters, its walls scarred with claw marks. In 2014, Elias Rohr, a 41-year-old former software engineer, settled in a remote cabin in Washington's Olympic National Park. The park's rainforests, with their moss-draped cedars and fog-shrouded peaks, were his escape from Silicon Valley's churn. Elias's days were meditative, splitting wood, fishing for trout, writing code for a solar-powered weather station. But one October morning, he found a hiker's body near a trail, limbs twisted at wrong angles, backpack shredded, chest caved in. Blood pooled, fresh, yet no scavengers touched it. Elias reported it, but the body vanished before rangers arrived, leaving claw marks and a sour, musky scent. Weeks later, another hiker washed up in the Hoh River, arms torn off, gashes deep and precise, as if carved. That night, a tall, emaciated creature circled his cabin, its hooked claws glinting in moonlight. Its silhouette was wrong, too lean, too tall, its movements jerky yet deliberate. A thumping heartbeat echoed through the trees, low and rhythmic, vibrating Elias's chest. He fired warning shots, the blast scattering it, but the thumping returned nightly, relentless. Sheriff Donahue's team found tracks, clawed, bipedal, impossibly long, but no creature. When Donahue vanished, his patrol car found with claw marks on the hood. Elias stayed, his journals filling with obsessive details. The creature's gait, its claws, the thumping's cadence. The Olympic encounter drips with dread. The creature's emaciated form and heartbeat suggest a predator that feeds on fear as much as flesh. Hoh and Quileute legends speak of a bone collector, a spirit that hoards remains, but Elias's experience is corporeal, grounded in blood and claw. The thumping could be a territorial signal, a lure, or a psychological weapon. Elias's resolve, staying despite the terror, reflects a coder's obsession with patterns. His journals, a digital-era grimoire. The park's history includes 1940s military tests and rumored UFO sightings, adding a speculative edge. The thumping persists, a pulse in the forest, daring others to listen. These accounts, spanning decades and regions, form a chilling mosaic. Unnatural silence, clawed footprints, mutilated bodies, and creatures that defy classification. The Congarese swamp beast, with its beak and nest, contrasts with Tongass's furred Kushtaka, yet both wield intelligence and territoriality. Glacier Bay's silent predator and the Smokies' leathery devil differ in form but share method. Deliberate kills, trophy displays, and a knack for vanishing. Bitterroot's hybrid and Olympic's emaciated stalker add to the pattern. Predators that hunt with purpose, their actions ritualistic, their presence a violation of natural order. Physical evidence, tracks, fur, twisted metal, grounds these encounters, yet authorities dismiss them as bare attacks, ignoring the nests, the bone piles, the wounds' precision. The thumping, reported across regions, could be a shared trait, a signal or lure transcending species. Cultural lenses, Tlingit, Cherokee, Hoh frame these creatures as spirits or guardians, but survivors describe flesh, blood, and intent. Whispers of military experiments, Cold War outposts, genetic tinkering, suggest human complicity, a Pandora's box cracked open. Scientifically, they could be megafauna, adapted to evade detection, or hybrids born of environmental stress. Ecologically, their territories, remote, resource-rich, support apex predators, yet their absence from fossil records is a puzzle. Psychologically, survivors share trauma, hypervigilance, nightmares, a fractured sense of safety, mirroring war veterans or assault survivors. The toll is profound. Eldon's nightmares replay the swamp's yellow eyes, his city life a cage to escape the wild. Lars flinches at low sounds, his faith in nature shattered. Ira and Evelyn avoid forests, their lives narrowed by fear. Nolan's sketches are a coping mechanism, his arms welts a brand. Heath's defiance masks guilt, his cabin a monument to survival. Elias's journals are a lifeline, his resolve a defiance of the thumping. The missing hikers, rangers, Donahue, number in the dozens, their absence a silent scream. The wilderness, once a refuge, becomes a predator's domain, its beauty a lure. The forbidden excavation is not a collection of tales, but a descent into the abyss. The Congaree Swamp, Tongass, Glacier Bay, the Smokies, Bitterroot, and Olympic National Park are not mere places but thresholds to a reality we are not meant to know. The creatures, cryptids, relics, or human errors, are real, their claws and eyes seared into those who survived. We invite you to listen to the silence, to trace the tracks, to feel the thumping in your bones. Share your stories, for the wild is a vast archive, its secrets written in blood. The wilderness calls, but will you answer?